Welcome everyone to Design to Win live broadcast. This week we are starting our new feature where we are interviewing authors from the Caribbean. And today I have with me the DeMercados, Anthony and Icilda DeMercado. Brand new authors. And you know, with the Design to Win live show, we give you the roadmap to win with books and the keys to win at life. And they'll be sharing their story. And at the end of it, I am going to be sharing a little surprise that we have in store for you. My name is Kamika Ruth Taylor. I'm a Jamaican entrepreneur, rocket writing coach, and independent book publisher. And my goal is to help more Caribbean authors to write our stories and showcase our excellence and to declare God's glory among the nations through writing. I believe God is positioning the Caribbean to be a mission force in writing. And it's not going to be a long interview. You are free to ask your questions. I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and hopefully for those from the deaf community, we hope to do some sign language for you. We're hoping that that will work out as well. So we're live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So Mr. and Mrs. DeMercado, welcome to Caribbean Author Stories, part of our Entrepreneur series. It's good to have you. And I want you to tell the audience on Facebook more about yourself. You can each take turn and just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I am Icilda DeMercado. I am Jamaican, and my husband and I have served as missionaries to the deaf for a number of years. And one of the things that we experienced while serving as missionaries is recognizing how concerned God is about the little things. Every little thing is important. And so we thought it would be good to write our story about some of the things we experienced while working with the deaf in Jamaica.
Hello, I am Anthony, and the Lord called me years before I even surrendered. And then when we finally surrendered, the Lord started to open the door and close doors that he wanted. And we got involved in deaf ministry by a miracle.
Okay, so you taken us there on the edge. You got involved in deaf ministry by a miracle. So tell us a little bit about that miracle. Not too much, because we want people to read the story. But what was that miracle?
Well, our church, Portmore Missionary, at their first mission conference, and we were involved to the max. We did a drama and everything the first night of the meeting, and the call, we made a call to full time. We answered the call. And at the end, the young man who did the presentation was telling us that we could come to Colombia, and he started to tell us where the possibilities are. But in my mind, it was at this age now that, when you are retired, you would go on a mission field. But the Lord had other plans. The following Sunday, the close of the mission conference, everything went wrong at home. I don't think anybody ever had those problems. But I was obedient and listened to my wife, and she said, let's go to church. There's a blessing for us. We went, and the worship service was over. And a group of young people were signing. And it hit me, even though I'm getting the chills. And it's like a voice said to me, this is where I want you to use the gifts I'm going to give you. Wow. And I said, yes, Lord, but you have to tell the wife, I'm not doing that. God just took over, and it has been a miracle so far.
Awesome. So God is, we can expect God to talk to us like that.
Yes, clearly.
He will touch our hearts. So that is how
yes.
God calls persons into ministry. All right. So what are some of the lessons that you learned while serving the deaf in Jamaica?
First, I learned that deaf people are people. There are people with the same, everything that makes us hearing people. They are the same for the deaf. The only difference is that they can't hear. And some of them can't speak because you cannot make a sound that you've never heard. Okay. So it's not that they can't speak, it's that they can't hear, so they can't reproduce the sounds that they can't hear. So that is one of the first things I learned. I learned also that deaf people are able to do anything that they're interested in doing and that they have these skills and abilities for. I've noticed even some of the parents of those deaf persons limit them. They think they're deaf, so they can't do this and they can't do that, and that's not true. Deaf persons can do anything that they are trained to do and that they are interested in.
Okay. And Mr. DeMercado?
They have a sixth sense in that they can see through you if your facial expression, if you are genuine or not. It's true, so very true.
So they can detect sincerity.
Yes, they can know. Yes. If they come and tell you that that person is not a true Christian, mark it down.
Wow. Can you tell us a little bit more about the capacity in which you serve during your missionary season, the deaf?
Okay. I went to work with the deaf as the assistant principal of the school. I served in different areas after that, but I went as the assistant principal. And that progressed. I did some counseling. I worked in the library, and most important for me, I led the sign language choir. And that's important for me because they are the people that God used to call us. And then he had me working with them, taking them to different places. I've gone to 3 different countries and all over Jamaica with them. So that for me was the most important part of my ministry. Sign language is beautiful, but when you see a deaf person ministering from the heart, it is so much better than when hearing people are signing, for me at least, because it's from their hearts. And so, when hearing people sign, they sign because they like it, or it's a way to minister. But when they sign, they are signing, it's their communicating with their God and letting you know how they feel about their God. And that makes it so much better for me.
Well, awesome. My first involvement was the ride down to the school I went down with a deaf young lady that tried to teach me the alphabet. All I knew was smiling and waving the hand. And the Lord just threw us in. And at first, as a Kingstonian, I was the farm manager.
Okay. You end up being the farm manager coming from Kingston.
And at the end of the year, we made a profit.
Okay.
Because God is awesome.
Wow. And this is just one of the many stories that I'm sure persons will be reading in the book. So we don't want you to share all the stories. We want them to get the book. So we're learning that deaf people are real people.
Yes.
And they are smart. And what you shared is interesting. I don't think it's the first I've heard it, but it's good to hear it again, that you cannot reproduce a sound that you've never heard. That is so interesting. All right. So I have some questions here. So if you see me looking down, I have the questions here. What would you say to persons who feel a similar call, perhaps to serve the deaf, or they feel like God is calling them into a ministry that they have no prior experience in? What would you say to them?
God can be trusted. It doesn't matter what God is calling you into.
Yes.
If you know that God is calling you, trust him and obey him. Because, as Tony said, we knew nothing.
Right.
I like that. Deaf persons, when they want to really explain nothing, they just knew nothing.
So you guys knew nothing.
But God called us, and he taught us the things we needed to learn. And he used many, many deaf persons to help us learn some of those lessons that were important. And we found that God was there with us every step of the way. He never left us alone, not ever. He was always there with us. So trust God. If he calls you, be obedient, follow him, and he will surprise you.
And it's important. Yes, you have your leaders at church, but the call has to be with you. You can tell them and they will say a lot of things to you. But when God calls you, as Cilda said, he equips you and he opens the doors. As I tell everybody, God has made me look so good. So brilliant. Just by being obedient.
Okay. All right. I'm just checking here to see if we're still live, because my phone looks as if, baby, we froze a little, and I am not recording it on my laptop like I should have. Guess I will do that as a backup. Just to make that, just to depend on Facebook. But just a little, how do you know that it is God calling you and not just a voice in your head, and you're not just being moved emotionally because you see a need?
Well, at the first, we didn't see the need. We saw them signing up there, and it came into my thought, look how we treat the deaf community. And here God is using them to minister. And we have so much potential, so much that God has given to us, and we have not used it. And we just surrender.
But it's about relationship. For me, it's about relationship. You have to know God for yourself. first.
Right.
So you know who God is and you know how he works in your heart and in your life. And then when he speaks to you, you will know that it is God who is speaking because of the relationship that you have with him. And we can't tell any person how God is going to speak to them because God has no limits. He's not going to speak to you the way he spoke to us, not necessarily. God knows you as an individual, and he knows how to relate, how to speak to you, how to touch your heart, how to get your attention. So for every individual, God is going to treat you as a person. So it's what he did to get our attention is not what he's going to do, not necessarily what he's going to do to get your attention. But you need to know from the relationship that you have with God for yourself when God is speaking. And he invites us to discuss things with him. He says, come, let us reason together. So, you know, if you think God is calling you, you're not sure, talk to him, ask him to prove it, ask him to show you if it is really he who is speaking to you.
All right, awesome. So, and I know when persons read the book, they will hear more about how you got confirmation and how you knew that this was God. So, we've been talking about the book. The book is Faith Walk, Volume 1, and it's your biography, it's your story, or it's more of a memoir because it's speaking about one aspect of your life. Why did you write this book?
In the hope that some persons who may be struggling with a call on their lives, or you know, just to give information about God did not do any big things through us, as you know, if you're going to compare with some other missionaries who have done some amazing things. And one thing I want people to understand, God does things with you as an individual. And it's not about how big it is or how important it is, about just being obedient, you know. And I think that people can learn. I remember, or the lady who was the principal when we first went to the school, she said she's always noticed that I make a big thing of the little things, because without the little things, we are not going to achieve the big things.
The big things.
Right. So I wanted people to understand that even if it's a little thing that God is calling you to do, you can still be obedient and God can still be glorified through you.
Amen. Anything, Mr. D?
Yes. To share the faithfulness of God. That you can trust God.
Yes.
He's a faithful God. And he loves everyone, and he's interested in everyone, and he can use anyone to accomplish
his mission.
His mission.
Can you give us one example? I know you have a lot of exciting stories, having heard you guys many times, but give us one example of the faithfulness of God in response to your obedience.
Well, it's recent, Father's Day. I got a message, a picture of a family, father and his two children, boy and a girl. And he said he could not find words to express how he feels about me and what I have done for him, only to tell me that he loves me.
Ah,
What I want to add to what Tony has said, the young man that he's talking about,
yes.
got his job. He succeeded Tony in the job that Tony did at CCCD. He's
Amen.
in that, he's doing it. So here is somebody who was his student,
Yes.
and that student learned enough and saw enough to become to go into that position, that job that Tony was doing at CCCD. And he's in it. We left CCCD in 2011, and he's been in that job from that time until now.
That's 9 years. That is awesome. One of my thing is, well, God speaks to me through nature. And when the banana tree is going to die, it sends up a shoot. And it says to me, your gifts must not die with you.
No.
Your legacy must continue. And so that young man is continuing the legacy. And your book will ensure that the legacy continues, because people you never meet, years in the future, if the Lord tarries, people will be reading it. And I'm sure God will touch their hearts and raise them up to continue ministering to the deaf. So, I think I have asked almost all the questions that are there while the book was written. And we have about 6 minutes. We have some persons who are joining live. I'm going to ask if they want to ask any question. We have time for about 3 or 4 questions. Then we're going to make a special announcement. So I'm going to hop over. I'm on my phone checking. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask the DeMercados? Hi, Carolyn. Hi, Tamara. Any questions? And of course, what we're going to do is after, you'll be able to share this with persons over and over and host your own watch party. I hope I am seeing so that if questions are coming in, I can answer them. All right, I'm not seeing any questions coming in. All right, so that's lovely. And that's a good note to end that, because of the work you did. A deaf student, he's deaf, right?
Yes, oh yeah.
He has taken over from you. And for 9 years, he's been carrying on. And that's succession planning.
Mm-hmm.
And he trained. I after we left, I went back. And the day I went, he was training a hearing young man to install a door and to put on the lock.
So the deaf young man was training a hearing young man.
Yes.
Yes.
And he called me and said, see my father here. He's going to come and check your work. And the young man got so nervous. But he did a good job.
Amen. We give God thanks for his faithfulness. No, concerning your book, this is your first book. The other one is written. So we are not ready to release it yet. And we are going to be having a special promotion it starts today. It starts today. So let me share screen so more persons can hear about it. It actually starts today. Somehow my mind was saying next week. So starting today, the Kindle book is normally for $7.99. So if you've enjoyed this interview, and if you know the DeMercados and their story, Faith Walk Volume 1, Obeying God's Call to Serve the Deaf in Jamaica, by Tony and Cilda DeMercado. The cover is looking quite pretty. And it's all blue, talking about faith. You can get the Amazon You can go to Amazon, and you don't need to have a Kindle. You can download the Kindle app. So today, July 1 to 7, until next week, Tuesday, you can get it for 99 cents. And we want to encourage you to share this interview. We're going to put up the poster, share it with your friends. 99 cents. It goes back up to $7.99 after. And I believe the hard copy of the book is $14.95 or $12.95. We can verify. And later we're going to have the actual book launch. But for now, you can get this steal of a deal only for 99 cents. And I want to encourage you to get it, read it, and write your reviews, because we want verified Amazon customer reviews. And at least $50 on Amazon to be able to leave a review. And just read it. It's an easy read. Share it with your friends and help them to get on the bestseller list. So for the next 7 days, let's bombard Amazon so that Amazon also will share it. So get the memoir. It's a good read. And if you're contemplating ministry, whether it be among the deaf or elsewhere, this is just a good faith builder. And just in this hard time, you know, people have lost jobs and things like that, and you're wondering, is God able to take care of me? When you read the story, you will learn more about the faithfulness of God. You're going to see many instances of God provided for them, and it's really going to build up your faith. So I want to encourage you to get the book and share it with your friends and family and write a review. All right. So any final words, Mr. and Mrs. DeMercado, as we close out? Any final words?
Just want to say thank you to you, Kamika, and to those who have already bought the book and those who will buy the book. Thank you, and we pray and trust that our story will help and encourage others to follow God where he leads, because he can be trusted.
Amen. That's it. So she has the final say. All right, we did well. We're at the 30 minutes mark. And tell us where we can find you. If persons want to email you, get in touch with you, where can we find you?
Email demercadoproject@gmail.com.
And are you on Facebook? Are you, where else are you?
We are on Facebook, yes.
We are on Facebook as Tony, or is it Cilda? You're on Facebook. All right, so I'll put the
both are.
Okay, so I'll put the Facebook name there, and
okay.
So, but you can email them, as you heard, at DeMercado
Project. DeMercado
Project at
gmail.com.
All right, thank you so much. We are out of time. And if you've watched this or will be watching the replay, start a watch party and share it. Ta for now, until next time.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
God bless.